Welcome, welcome to the Smaby Peacebuilding Symposium, and I'm delighted and honored to introduce Marnita's table. And this session is on trust-making, catalyzing an embodied practice of peace through authentic welcome. And in this fast-paced, interactive peer-to-peer session, you'll experience intentional social interaction, led with Black Girl Magic with Lauren, Amina, and Marnita. Take it away.
Welcome. Lauren's going to start by sharing the screen, but hey, Riley, make us co-hosts.
Yep.
I don't know if you can share the screen without being a co-host, Lauren.
Nope, you're right.
So I'm waiting until that happens.
Yep. Let's see.
There it is.
There we go. Great.
Did that just happen?
Yep.
Perfect. And Lauren has to be the co-host. Yeah, perfect. Yay. So I can start with my words. And Lauren, I'll call names and I'll have Amina track them. So we kind of, oh, look, Mars coming. Yay, that's so exciting. Right. Hi, everybody. We're going to start with just going around. We call this exercise. I'm Marnita. I guess I should ground you a little bit. Welcome. I'm going to breathe in and out. Digitally, it always feels a little odd. It's like, who's here? Can I see you? And so we're going to be doing some practices. As we said, this was going to be pretty fast paced. And our director of learning, she'll actually start us in the grounding exercise. But I'm just going to start you a little bit about how the table was founded and formed, just so you know, and why I'm interested and what brought me here today, why I think the work of peace and peace building and peacemaking is important. If you know my story, if you've seen my TED Talk or anything, I was born in 1962. I will be 60 years old next spring. And in the United States, when I was born, my body was evidence of a felony in 17 states because of the anti-miscegenation laws of my country. So my biological parents could not be married with each other. And I was born and my skin was considered white, not brown or black. And clearly I'm a Black girl. So at 7 months, my biological family put me in the foster care system. And as a result, I was in 3 homes before I was 2 years old. And it was really hard. It was hard. I grew up as an only Black person in an all white town, in a little town 60 miles north of Seattle, where it was very violent and very unpleasant is the best way to describe it. And the reason I'm telling you this and grounding you in this is I had to make a conscious choice to choose peace. I had to make a conscious choice not to choose anger and violence. And it's not always easy to do those things. And I'm not perfect at it. And in fact, I have pet peeves just like everybody else does. I like to run other cars into the side of the road if they try and whip around me fast. I can't help it. It seems like I want to go faster. So there's many behaviors we have, little and big, that are either peacemaking or peace rending. And today we're going to explore not the behaviors that other people can do. And I've seen so many people, Laura, Marquita, oh my, Julia, oh, some of our biggest peacemakers in the community are here. Mar, I love you guys. Thank you for joining us. But peace is a practice. And Dawn Baker, and lovely. So we are moving it to Lauren. And Lauren, now take it away. I just wanted to tell you why I cared about this and what brought me here today. I'll close the circle as well. But Lauren, introduce yourself and take it away.
Thank you, Marnita. Hello, everybody. My name is Lauren, and I am Director of Learning for Marnita's Table. So I teach people how to use our model of intentional social interaction. And today we're going to get started with one of our mini activities. It's called Circle Settle In, and we do this so that people can just feel grounded. Oftentimes people are coming into conversations, maybe they're running from one meeting to another meeting, And this is just a good way to get everyone settled into their bodies, to feel comfortable, and everyone will get a chance to share. So as people come in, if you notice new people dropping in, you're welcome to welcome them in the chat. You all are now hospitality guides along with us. So make sure that anyone who's coming in feels welcomed and as though they are a part of our group. So our question today is, as you arrive, what brought you here today? And we're actually going to do this since we have a good amount of people in our settle-in style. So we're gonna go around. And what brought me here today is, of course, I'm excited to share with Marnita a little bit more about our model of intentional social interaction. And I know that Marnita is going to continue passing it. So one sentence only so that we can get to everybody.
Laura. And this also gives you a chance to turn off and on your mic and get ready to be part, because we're going to throw you in bake route rooms, you know, for a good conversation in a minute. So Laura.
Turn on their, when you call on them, turn on their mics.
Yes.
Okay.
Laura.
This Laura? Okay. What brought me here today? I would say trying to figure out how to kind of keep the resilience and the inertia around peace, considering there's sometimes chaos thrown at me at all sides. So I think surrounding myself with other peacemakers to remind me of who I am.
And Alicia.
Good morning, everyone. What brought me here today is I saw it on Facebook and I was like, I need to hurry up and register for this class because I've been following you for a while, Marnita. Thank you for this opportunity. Growth for me is really important, like personally and professionally, and really learning how to have those intentional conversations while at work. However, being, having grace. Somebody said grace earlier, and having grace and feeling grace for someone who may not get it, but I really want to know how to, have those conversations intentionally without, offending someone.
Love that. Patrice.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here out of curiosity. A friend invited me to participate and it just swooped me up, this topic. So I'm here to learn and be curious.
Marquita.
There's another Patrice here. Do I get to speak now? Oh, sorry.
Oh, just a second, Patrice. I'll be right to you. Oh, a different Patrice. Hello, Patrice. I was going to call you your Merlini Patrice. Marquita, can I, because we have two Patrices. This is about making space. So yes, you get to speak now, love.
Okay. Hi. I just turned on the camera, so I think you can see me.
I can see you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, officially it's Marlene Patrice, but I really answer the Patrice unless I'm in major trouble. I never hear the full name. But I wanted to learn. This is a bit interesting to me. I'm finishing a PhD program. And when I started my program, I found out that language or maybe terminology was a barrier because I was trying to explain a concept no one understood, or maybe my professors were not understanding. And then I was taught different words. They started using social equity. And then as time goes on, I'm hearing peace building. I'm hearing so many different terms that are capturing the concept that I was trying to express 6 years ago. So when I heard this, I was really interested, but it's more to learn and understand what are the words that different people are using to talk about the same thing. I have my own angle on this, but it's really the same thing. But so it's really to learn and hear the terminology.
Lovely. Marquita.
Good morning or afternoon, everyone. I joined today because I'm all about peacemaking. I think that that word in itself just sums it up. And in addition to that, I love the Izzy model that Marnita has curated over time, and I trust it. And I'm sure as a result of being here today, I'm going to experience something that I have never experienced before.
Julia Dinsmore, Mama Dinsmore. And if you don't know Julia, her poem is very famous. It's actually in my upstairs hallway. We are not those people. Julia, what brought you here today?
Well, you did, dear. I came because I was in need of fellowship and connection with other human beings. And I know anytime Marnita's table is somewhere, human beings are invited to bring our whole selves. And that doesn't happen everywhere, you know. So
it's a practice.
Yes.
So it's a pieces of practice. Mar.
I think when Marnita's call and what just Julia said, to bring all ourselves here, I'm game. I'm here. Thank you.
I think it's Steiner Bryn. Am I saying that correctly?
You are.
Very good, at least. Hello from Norway. I'm
Hello
here
from
because
Norway.
I'm impressed, amazed by the whole symposium, the high quality of speakers and guests, and with peace building, it's so easy to have the good ideas. What is a challenge is to recruit, inspire, to motivate people that otherwise are not even willing. So in a polarized society like Norway, like United States, like Minnesota, how do we mobilize people to start to communicate, to start to dialogue? And your table and talking about how to build trust is essential, I think, in this work. So I look forward.
Patricia, Neil, you get to say too.
Oh, I do I?
You do.
Why am I here? It's been a while since I've actually never had an experience of Marnita's table virtually. And I'm really curious about how you bring the breadth of welcome into the virtual space. And I'm complete.
And is it Aiva or is that an Aiva? Am I saying that right?
Hello, my name is Yeva. I'm
Yeva
from Washington, D.C. And I just learned about this event from my colleague, Jeff Prudhomme at the Interactivity Foundation. And during the pandemic and beyond, I have been rereading different books and blogs about reading of all of the books. That's what one of them that I'm rereading right now, The Art of Convening, highly recommend. But I am here today to participate, to listen to all of you and to participate in a conversation with you. So I'm looking forward to it.
Lovely. And Liz.
Hi, thanks for having this event. I attended Marnita's table gathering, I think a few years ago, and really appreciated it. And I'm here to be in a humanizing community space, and glad to be here with you all.
Sharon Hicks Bartlett.
You're on mute.
I was trying to pay attention to that. I'm here today to pick up more insights and just share with people about how they feel about peace building. I'm a teacher, so I'd like to gain some new knowledge and pass it on to my students.
Carol Jackson. Yes, and by the way, Patricia just dropped in the chat. Not everybody reads their chats, and so I occasionally will chime in with a chat. If you go to gallery view, you can either view the speaker who's speaking, or you can go to gallery view and it sits over your screen and you can actually pull it out and see. We look like the Brady Bunch. And then to Carol Jackson.
Hi, I'm here because I saw the Marnita's Table blurb and said, oh my goodness, the graciousness of knowing how to greet and help people be safe. I'm a retired teacher, storyteller, and I feel I still have some work to do. And I'm so excited.
Mary Curtin.
I'm not sure she's with us at the moment.
Okay. Kim Chom.
Hi,
Hi.
I am here because I think that social interaction is very important as for human, but also for peace builders. But sometimes the intention's just not there, or we just don't know how to ground ourselves. So I just want to learn more to be intentional.
Yan, am I saying that correctly? Yan?
Hi, I'm Yang. Yeah, you said it right. Yeah, I'm an international student from China here, and graduate from the Humphrey School. I'm here because I saw the promo email, and I think I like to learn and listen to some other people's experience about peace building, and also learn some skills to, like, maybe I can use in my future career to help with more, how to say, cooperation. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Kathy Allers. Is Kathy here? Sometimes people like stay off screen and run to the bathroom, and then they come back and find out they've been called on, and they're like, oh no. Is that Nancy Hope?
Also, there are people that have been here all morning. And so
yes, exactly. They need a break. Hey, is that Nancy Hope?
It is.
Hi, Nancy Hope.
Yeah, I'm here because I'm fortunate enough to know Marnita, and just very interested in.
Well, I'm glad I sent out that email.
So I'm curious to hear what everybody has to say, and learning to communicate more peacefully. I'm in communications, so and I work with clients and within my organization. So I think communication, is very, very important. So.
And Michelle McCarthy. Are you there, Michelle? There's Michelle.
I have a few email from Amina. I hadn't heard about the symposium, and so I thought I should A, check it out, and B, check the symposium out. Thanks so much.
Thank you for being here. Rania.
Hi.
Am I saying
hi,
it right,
I'm
Rania?
Yes, you said it really perfect. And you can call me Ronnie too. I go by Ronnie.
Okay, Ronnie.
Yeah, I am here because of Rebecca invited me, Minnesota Len Fellow 2021. So I'm here to learn, and yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Donta.
Hey, Marnita.
Hey, Donta. Coming in from Carver County. We're going to be doing
Yes.
a huge TrustMaking project. More on that.
Oh. So what brings me here is, of course, you, Marnita. I've been following you ever since you came here, and trying to be a peace builder and a bridge builder in a community here. I learn so much from you every time. So I try to join whenever I can, and as much as I can.
Thank you, Donta. Well, we're doing a giant piece. If you guys want to learn more about this model, we are launching with the Carver Department of Health an 18-month to 3-year peace building project, a trust-making project in your community, Donta. They came back and said, we still need support. And so we're gonna be there doing tables. So pay attention if you're out in the western suburbs, if you want to join us. So that's going to be fun. So welcome. I think, did I miss anybody? Did anybody come back that didn't? I think I got everybody.
Did you get Gwendolyn?
Did I get you, Gwendolyn? I didn't.
Morning.
Hi, Gwen, thanks.
Hi there. Thank you, Marnita. I'm actually on staff at the Humphrey School and just really, really excited to take part for my own learning and growth. Thank you.
Yay, welcome here. So many of you are here to learn, to exchange, and already understand the importance of connection and relationship. Lauren, why don't you deliver up some learning just a little bit about Izzy, because it's a practice. And for instance, if somebody had come late with a child and you heard a baby, we would have wanted some percent of you, maybe up to 20% of you, to say, I love the sound of babies in the chat, to either personally or publicly show support for that person, to recognize that when we enter, what it means to make space for another, that is one of the first steps to peace, is actually even making space for them to be who they are, not who you'd like them to be, not as you imagine them to be, but for them, whether they're farting or doing whatever it is you don't like. And I'm using that as a smell, but you know, when people, I get, my thing is I move a lot and I have an all white, very conservative family. And they think I'm showing off whenever I act like myself. And at some point, my sister said to me, I'm realizing now that's just you. You're not showing off. But what does it mean to a child who grows up outside their own culture, who is taught that their own cultural behaviors are methods to attract attention, right? Like that causes attention in me that creates me not being, feeling peaceful. So understand these small ways of being marginalized can actually lead to large community disruptions. So could small community disruptions lead to widespread peace? That's part of what we're going to be exploring. Lauren, take it away.
Would you like me to go
Yeah.
on? To
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go
No,
on to my-
actually, let's do the hardwired needs. No, I want to do that one. So every human has, and the model you're going to learn about has hardwired needs for three things: safety, significance, and belonging. So safety, and so often when we were exploring even the questions we should ask about today was, you have to go back to things like, why don't we have a Department of Peace instead of a Department of Defense? When I watched Black Panther last weekend for Juneteenth, which I do because it's fabulous, I found myself this year questioning why I marvel that it still was a story of ritual violence, where physical strength was viewed as the indicator that you were qualified to lead. I was so excited when Black Panther came out to see myself represented on screen that it took me a few years to even absorb that. So we're coming off a period, I think, with the murder of George Floyd, but even last year, how long did it take for Turkey to allow the United States to acknowledge the genocide in Armenia? That, truth and reconciliation, truth, whether it's a family member that has, I was a victim of incest from the time I was 5 until I was 10. And everybody was worried about ruining the person's reputation. They weren't worried about me being ruined as a foster child, but they were ruined. So how many things tie into reputation, tribal ideology, and how do you dismantle all of that? And if we understand that all of us have the hardwired need to feel safety, to feel secure, but what does that mean? For me, I want to be safe from police. And I have other people who think, in my family, who think the police provide perfect safety. Well, we have very different experiences. And in that world, how do we still go for peace? How do we still drive towards peace in an unjust world? And these three things, are there anything? That's what we're going to keep referring to. We all want safety. We want to feel that not only we have a need for significance, we have a need for reverence, we have a need for ritual and worship, in fact. And so if we're not feeling like this is important, the conversation is important, will we pay attention? If we don't think those people over there are important, will we actually give them the significance they deserve to be in conversation with us? And then our last one is belonging and connection. And all of my life, I've looked for belonging. As a foster kid, you never feel connection. And that was the core at it, was I realized I would never belong anywhere. So I made a space where everybody could feel as though they belong. And there are still times when people come and tell me, oh, you talk too much, or you were too big, or you were too loud. And it's hard for me to remember. It's okay for somebody who's been marginalized to take up some space. You know, we've been at the margins for so long. It's okay sometimes if one of us stands up and talks a little too long, or is a little sloppy or messy. That's part of peace too, that everything doesn't fit into a box. And so Lauren is going to tell you just a little bit about the model, and then I've divvied you up into, I think what are going to be really, oh, you're doing it. I was trying to move it, Lauren, and I realized you have it controlled. I was like, what is happening? I was just like pushing buttons randomly.
I'm laughing because my coworker said the exact same thing yesterday. When someone else is sharing screen, you always think that you can click on. So hello everyone, Lauren again, and I'm excited to share a little bit more about Izzy before we drop you into the experience itself. The best way to learn about peace building is to actually practice it, and so that's what we're going to do today. But I wanted to share just a couple of points about our model. So Izzy, intentional social interaction. Someone asked yesterday, why is it IZI instead of ISI? And that's because when we were teaching a school districts how to use it, they were talking about the multiple Izzies that they were doing, ISIS, and it read ISIS. And so we didn't want to scare the children and their parents. So we changed it to IZI, which is how we pronounced it anyways. We always said, pronounce it IZZY. So that's why it's Izzy. And we have 5 foundational roots and 21 touch points. So it's an experience engineering model, which just means that we use the same type of technology that retailers use to make you part with your money and feel really good about it and like it was totally your idea. But instead, we help people to part with their preconceived notions of the other, the biases that they may have, that they may not even know that they have, just for long enough in a 3-hour experience that they can have connections with people across difference and actually hear them and actually see them, maybe for the first time. And so we have 21 touch points, and the touch points are the things that we try to put in action every single time we either do an in-person or a digital Izzy. So some of you have been to Izzy's in person, and some of you have only been to the digital experience. And a lot of people say it feels the same because these touch points are put into play every single time. So I wanted to draw attention just to a couple of our touch points. The first being how we build our questions. And you'll experience this in a few moments, but we try to build questions that don't make assumptions because we know that everyone has different experiences. And my first example that I ever heard, and my favorite example, is always thinking about or asking about what people do for their birthdays. We often make assumptions in our society that this is something people celebrate, that they know the day of their birth, that
in fact, we don't even call them birthdays on question cards. We say the day you were born.
Yeah, so a lot of people, maybe if you're born in a refugee camp, you don't even know the day that you're born. Or if you're a Jehovah's Witness, you don't celebrate that day, right? There's so many different elements of people's lives that maybe we don't know about. And so just thinking about how do you ask questions that make no assumptions. We also like to leave them open-ended, and if we ask a yes or no, to follow up with an open-ended question so that people can really lean in and share. And we also ask that people share from their own personal point of view. So never talking about those people, whoever they are, but only talking about yourself, what you've experienced, what you've seen with your own 2 eyes or felt within your body. And then authentic welcome is really the first step to our model. So when you all came in, I said you all are now hospitality guides, right? So that's one of our many roots. And so as people continue to come in, everyone is now responsible for creating that authentically welcome space. And it's not always just through words. We do it through food. We always have a feast from vegan to carnivore. So no matter whatever your dietary needs are, you can always get something to eat. You can always get a protein. You can always feel satisfied. We do it through having hospitality guides, as I said, so that there's somebody there greeting you as you enter a space. And so there are many ways, both in person and virtually, that we try to cultivate this sense of authentic welcome from the second you get the invitation to the moment that you leave. And when we say err on the side of connection, that just means that even if you have an agenda, even if you have an idea of what you want to do, the most important thing is leaning into the people who showed up and whatever their needs are. So before we came into the room today, we didn't know how many people were going to join us, but when we saw that there were 17 people, we knew that it made sense to allow you guys to have time to open up your mics and share why you came into the room, because it's more important to lean into our stories and these relationships than anything else. And then scooching, in person, we used to do this by scooching over, literally picking up our chairs, moving it over, going and grabbing another chair off the wall and bringing someone to sit next to us as they entered the room, so that we could literally physically create that welcome the same way that you would at Thanksgiving dinner. But in person, it looks a little bit different. Maybe scooching or making space might look like allowing somebody to speak for a little bit longer if they're not used to speaking, right? If you're used to talking all the time, maybe you you let that person lean into whatever they have to say, which brings me to surrendering the mic. At the end of this, you'll have an opportunity to share a little bit of what you discussed. And we always say that it's important to surrender the mic to people who maybe haven't had opportunities to stand up and speak. Maybe those who are young people, maybe those who are marginalized for whatever reason. Try to hand the mic to them as much as possible, because not only is that leadership building on their end, but it's also leadership building for those of us who always have a space to speak, who always have a space to share our knowledge and our wisdom and what we think. Sometimes leadership looks like passing the baton. It looks like handing leadership and space over to someone else. And so I just wanted to give you a couple of nuggets from our model before we give you a chance to actually experience it yourselves.
Yes. And now, Lauren and I are going to, and as much as possible, go to your gallery if you can, because this is fun. And some of you already know what we're about to do. So first of all, we're warming up, we're coming out of COVID, but we're still in these little digital moments. So we can't see the fine lines around each other's eyes that crinkle when we smile. And in fact, there's some technology about the fact that we can't actually see the joy and welcome on each other's faces. But there's something we can do about that. And this is a thing you can do. And it's kind of fun. And we're going to check in on it at the end. But I want you to put up your hands. You know what I'm about to do, Mar. Those of you who've been with me, put up your hands. And if you can, go on camera. If you're in a place where you can go on camera, this is kind of fun. So as many of you are willing to go on camera as are. Now I want you to wiggle. Now watch everybody else wiggle. Look at everybody else wiggling. Wiggle with everybody. Wiggle in unison, okay? So first of all, Harvard says that when we make ourselves big, like when we shout for a team, it actually releases oxytocin and serotonin in our brain. So one of the things we're doing right now is both making our bodies big, which means we are actually aligning forces with everybody else in the room. We're getting a little movement in, which we never get, right? Because we're always in these digital spaces. So we're going to ask you to wiggle. Isn't that fun? And the first time you're a little awkward, but we're going to ask you to do it a couple more times. And now we want you to spread it in your meetings. Just the wiggle, just because adults particularly get too damn serious, right? We don't have fun. We can't laugh. I, as a presenter, am not supposed to be like, oh, my lips are looking a little bit dry. You know, I'm not supposed to put on my lipstick while I'm presenting, right? I'm not supposed to be fully human. We're supposed to be presenters. Well, no, we're humans first in our bodies. And because of that, are we going into our breakouts, Lauren? Are you giving them instructions before we go into breakouts? Do they have to find a Google Doc or something?
Yes. So we're going into, and I'm just going to show you quickly, and I'll be placing it into the chat. So next we are going to have a conversation with one another. I've placed a Google slide link. It's just marnitastable.org/peace. If you ever lose it, it's pretty easy to find. And right away, it'll take you to instructions for a conversation, and then you'll see the questions, and then there will be mini slides and spaces for you to write. So once we put you into the group, first we want you to wiggle together. Just wiggle for a moment when you get into your rooms. And then you're welcome to introduce yourselves if you'd like. You're welcome to share something that maybe people wouldn't know about you just by looking at you, or you can dive into the questions, whatever you'd like to do with your group. Just make sure that you wiggle first. And then your group, you can choose which questions you want to start with. So you can take notes, you can just have a really good conversation. But once we come back to the main room, we'll give you a chance to share something that you talked about, just one thing that you think everyone should know about your conversation. And you'll choose the person who isn't usually handed the mic. So I'm going to pull it up on my screen just so that you all can see it. We can look at it together.
And we also have afterwards, the conference Jamboard. So maybe you can transfer some of your ideas from this to the Jamboard as well.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So first slide is just the instructions. You can write the names of your group. You can come up with a group team name. Sometimes people come up with really fun team names. And then you can choose someone who will take notes. You can take notes together, multiple people can. And then you'll discuss the Mindstorm questions. So just start with the one that you think is the most important. Remember to give everyone a chance to speak and to speak from your own personal point of view, as we talked about earlier. And then on slide 2 here, you have the questions. And then on slide 3, you have even more questions. And then from there are open spaces. So your group can choose whichever slide you'd like to capture your notes.
Yeah, and just don't take once somebody puts their name on it, even if they haven't written notes, know that it's taken, and just copy that slide if you want another slide, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you don't have enough slides, we'll be paying attention to outside the room and adding more, because we can do that in Google Docs for you. And you don't really need, unless you decide you want to keep your own notes, we would just love to have and it's mostly, just so you know, at the end of it, we are going to ask you, you're going to get a note from me saying breakout rooms are ending in 5 minutes. You're going to have about a half an hour in your rooms, and maybe a little bit more, but you're going to have about a half an hour for a good conversation. And you have good size rooms. Like not so big that everybody, remember extroverts, let the introverts speak. And the cool thing is everybody doesn't have to answer all the questions. You get to choose. So like if Julia doesn't like a question, she can change to the next question or say like, go to the other page. I want to see another question. And so it's not a linear conversation. But when somebody chooses a question, if you're interested in answering that question, all of you go. Does that make sense on that question? And then choose another question. Yes, Patricia Neal.
Yes, somebody's just asking, please reiterate, how long is the breakout?
About a half an hour. A half an hour.
Right.
We're actually probably going to pull you out about 15 after. So we say a half an hour and give you a little bit more.
So Mina and I will be hopping around to your rooms to make sure that everything is okay and you're having a great conversation. But I will stop screen sharing and let Marnita launch us in.
Okay, I'm opening all the rooms. I think I have everything set. I didn't do anything stupid. You're going to automatically be placed in your room. But if something happens, you also have the power to come back at any moment and let us know that you can, if you're having trouble or you need to be somewhere else.
Okay.
We learned that trick early.
Yes, go ahead and wiggle.
Okay, everybody. Are you there, Sharon? Let's do a little wiggle. Amina, you gonna wiggle with us? It looks like Steiner. Donta, I need you to wiggle. Karen, you weren't here to wiggle with us before. Let's wiggle. Now look at everybody wiggling. Just look at what George, Karen, yep, thank you. But you saw me looking at you. But isn't it kind of fun? And some of you have now wiggled 3 times. Did you notice that you wiggled more vigorously the third time than you did the first time? And that you started looking right away to see if everybody else was wiggling with you? Social contagion is real. Understand that you can scooch over and show your whole neighborhood how to welcome an immigrant. You can do those things and not just sit down. So when we talk about scooching and short seating, the reason we do it at the table is so that when it happens in your neighborhood, it becomes automatic, that you automatically say, oh, here, look, let me, you know what? 2 more people came. You know, I know my neighbor has a couple chairs in their backyard and it's okay if I borrow them. And I know that I could go over to Nancy's house and ask her for chairs, right, Nancy?
Always.
Always, right? And Nancy could come to my house and ask for chairs. But that's for making space. And so remember that. So that's why let's all wiggle one more time. We're going to wiggle more, but I just want to see you all wiggle. And the funny thing is when I first said it, and Amina is resisting the wiggle. When I first said it, you all didn't do it. I had to kind of call. Now you're all doing it. Understand that is what we do for almost all of our behaviors. Many of them are learned, and they're learned from the people around us. So if the people around us are saying, well, we shouldn't welcome them, or I had somebody who came to the table who lived in Ottertail County, and he was the grandfather of somebody. And she called me from her closet one day and she said, you know, Grandpa was, you know, really always used to complain about immigrants. And the other day he was playing cribbage with his buddies. And I heard him say, somebody was complaining about immigrants. And he said, you know, I went to this thing and I met all these nice Hmong farmers, and I'm a farmer. And it turns out they farm just the way I farm. In fact, I learned some things from them, and I don't think we have this right. And this young woman was so moved, she went and hid in his closet to call me from the landline to say, I've never heard Grandpa say anything like that before. So understand that if you do this, but I have to say this, it's not just enough to bring people to a table. Make sure you're doing it in such a way that you are not putting at risk those of us who are already marginalized. I'm not just, it's not okay for me to sit down at a table with somebody who denies that racism exists when I have it experienced against my body. So how do we become better allies for each other and help support each other with what is real and what is not real? The Armenian genocide happened. Those things have happened. How do truth and reconciliation? It's so important. So now I'm going to turn it over to Lauren, do the sharing, and then we have to kick everybody out.
All right. So we're going to go around to each room. You have 3 rooms, and you'll have a chance.
We're not kicking everybody out.
That was a joke.
This is the main room.
Oh,
the main room.
Everybody's going to come in and overwhelm us is what's really going to happen. We're going to experience what the indigenous people of the United States felt like. We're going to be colonized. I'm just joking. There's space between the 2 events. Go.
All right. So we're going to do our share outs from our groups. And you're welcome to share just a couple of things that you talked about in your groups. And then after everyone goes, we're going to wiggle for them. Show them a little bit of love for what they shared. And so we'll just go in order. Group 1 is my group. So I'm going to pass it to Kim, who will be sharing for us.
Thank you. So we talked about 3 main things, and for me, it's really clear that all of the people in the group were, you know, really wanting to build peace and make peace. But then there are some challenges that we kind of identified that makes it quite difficult to do peace building sometimes. And one of them is to know where to draw the boundary, you know, with the people who might have hurt us before, and how to navigate around forgiveness and things like that, forgiving them, forgiving us. And then another thing that we talked about was how do we protect our own peace first before we do the, you know, peace building for the world, and kind of the self-caring before we can extend it out. And lastly, there was a theme of exhaustion as well from, you know, especially those of us who might have marginalized identities that others don't understand or don't know much about, and it just feels really hard to try and explain us all the time. But nevertheless, we still want to do peace. So just trying to go around all of that and do what we can. So thank you.
What do we do when somebody does a good share out? We wiggle. Wiggle. I go, there's Steiner's fingers. There's Nancy. Okay, good. Because I do come and tell you. Group 2, right, Lauren?
Yep, group 2. Amina's group. Who's sharing for you?
I will be sharing.
Because they didn't want to share.
So a couple of great things. One that I really picked up what we've talked about is learning in an environment of safety. Most people would feel more comfortable being in spaces where they feel safe, and being safe, you're more open to having tough conversations, and you're more open to understand people who are part of different cultural backgrounds to coexist in different harmonious ways when you feel safe, and when you're able to understand from another person's perspective. We also talked about trust, and that coincide with safety and trusting one another, and that is how we can start living within peace, trusting each other, gaining awareness of what safety means to one another, and how we can create community in those areas.
Thank you. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Good job, Amina. And then room 3, who's speaking for your group?
Well, hi there. I'm Gwen, and Danta and I are going to share our reporting out. We looked at 2 questions. The first question was, is it ever possible to have a peaceful response to injustice, and what might that be? And some things we talked about were the tone that you take in responding can be helpful. One person used Gandhi as an example in terms of peaceful protest. Another person countered with the Malcolm X model as opposed to MLK around, just being aware that, one might choose not to engage in systems of oppression and need to speak out. I hope I'm capturing that faithfully. We talked about how hard it is to listen peacefully in some situations, and talked about how if you've experienced years of injustice and oppression, that comes with a cost if you respond peacefully, perhaps, and you get manifestations physically in terms of health, negative health outcomes for responding peacefully. So we talked about that, and we talked also about taking a systems approach around the policy side in terms of addressing systems of oppression as one possible peaceful response. Please let me know if I missed anything or got anything wrong, group 3.
And please notice the note from Mary Curtin, the organization Nonviolent Peace Force, who we know well, will address those issues today at the session at 4. And who was going second person in your group?
Me.
Hi, Danta. You have 1 minute, like less than 30 seconds.
All right, I'll try as quick as I could. So the other one was being on the other side of a deep rift, and I spoke about coming from Chicago and also living in Carver County, that I've been on both sides and actually had to take a step back and look at where I was in Chicago to where I am now and the steps that I've had to take, even with being court ordered for anger management. But that's also what set me up to be able to handle the other side of the rift and create the friendships and also the boundaries that I have today to be able to continue to work inside of the community. How'd I do?
Great.
Awesome.
Wiggle.
Wiggle
Group
for
3.
both of them.
We're wiggling with you. We're feeling you. So each group had a powerful conversation. I hope you enjoyed your time. Everything we do is through peer-to-peer connection. We're Marnita's table. If you want to come to a table, we're going to have a lot of them in the state as the state opens up. So we're going to throw up a slide in a second and show you marnitastable.org, but there's also a form you can fill out. and the address for it. And if you want to come to like another event, you can even send an email to Amina, as she is our relationship coordinator, and she will help hook you up with the right conversation or table. So Amina has just dropped in the chat both the Google Doc. If you would like to come back to a table, we'd love to have you. If you want to know, we actually have a portal on our website that has, we are repatriating what the community says, because so often conversations go behind walls and go, I say, bring me the voices of the community, and then they never let you know what the community said. We are repatriating research. It was an honor to have you. In 90 minutes, we hope you learned one even new practice. And one of them we hope you'll remember is just the wiggle, that you could do simple movements to help a group of people who feel uneasy with one another do better work together by having them do something that's silly and playful and seems completely off topic. Now, what we want you to do as we leave, we want to thank Patricia and Craig. I want to thank my team, Lauren and Amina. Thank you guys so much. Let's wiggle for the actual symposium and for having this opportunity and for all the work that the organizers did. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It was an honor to be here. We hope you got something out of this, and that you enjoyed your time, and we hope we get to see you again. And in the tradition of so many faith traditions, religious traditions, community traditions, we like to bid one another peace. And so you could do it in chat. You can open your mic and just do it. But as we leave, or if you have a question, we'll stay here.
Don't leave.
Okay. They can't leave? We're just closing
No.
us.
They're
Oh,
just
good.
closing you.
So as well, we're leaving then.
Yes.
But as we're leaving, and as you're making space for your next learning, please give a shout out either in chat or verbally of what one wish of peace you hope for everybody here. And mine, of course, is abundance. I wish you joy. I wish you love. Just start sending each other those words in the chat verbally. Nancy, Julia, Sharon, what do you wish everybody? Gwendolyn, what are you wishing everybody as we leave?
And then as some people are coming in, and as they come in, I'm going to screen share what's next. So I'll let you close out, Marnita, and then I'll screen share what's next. Okay.
We're all done.
Thank you.
We wish you all well.
Thank you.
Bye.